Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Brundi, we are about a quarter of the way into the NHL season now, and we got a decent little bit of news we're going to talk about here today. But right off the bat, I figure I'm gonna hit you with a little thing that I've been thinking about, frankly, for a couple of weeks now, and I have seen some people talk about it online, very few, and very few are willing to even really consider it, which I definitely understand. But I want to get your thoughts on this. Are you ready?
As ready as I can be. I don't know what we're doing, but we'll see how it
Yeah.
goes.
It's a pretty straightforward question. Is Nathan MacKinnon the best hockey player in the world? Obviously, that would mean
Okay.
that boils down to, obviously, is Nathan MacKinnon better than Connor McDavid? I don't think either of us think McKinnon has more potential than McDavid or anything like that. But as it stands right now, uh, McKinnon's outscored him in points and goals in the past two seasons, and it looks like there's a pretty good chance he's going to this year. I think he's the favorite to win the Art Ross right now.
And I'm pretty sure he
Obviously,
outscored McDavid in Four Nations too, I believe.
uh, he either did or they tied. I'm pretty sure McKinnon and one or two other people were tied for most points, but I think McKinnon was like 4 goals and an assist or something. So he
Yeah.
won the MVP.
Yeah. Um. Wow.
I think a huge part of it is where the Avalanche are compared to the Oilers, because once you have that Stanley Cup, it feels easier for these guys to be like I can go all out in the regular season and I know I can do it in the playoffs and stuff. Like I've been getting the impression the past two-ish seasons that McDavid's not going all out in the regular season anymore. You know, even in November,
Mhm.
he's saving it for the playoffs a little bit. Not all the way, but just a bit, right?
Mhm.
And as, like
Hmm.
as soon as he gets that cup, I'm as soon as McDavid gets his cup, I'm expecting like 150 or more points from him the next season. Like he's going to be at an all-time high. He's going to be feeling great, and he's just going to go and kill it that year, the regular season. But until it happens, we're at the point where McKinnon's been so good that it's at least a conversation at this point.
I think it's starting to definitely get there, and you know, I guess when looking at this debate, because I do believe it kind of has become one over the last little bit. It's tough, right? Because trying to compare the players right now, but also taking into account who they're playing with, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, Nathan MacKinnon is, you know, alongside Natchez on that top line, and then you can kind of throw a bunch of guys there on the Avalanche, and it's gonna work because
Yeah.
MacKinnon, Natchez can do the bulk of the work, right? Whereas McDavid,
Has Draisaitl
doesn't.
on the power play, but they're
Yeah,
not really
yeah, because
playing
you
5 on
can't.
5 anymore.
Well, and for Edmonton, you can't anymore because outside of them, you don't have much,
What do you have?
and
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 frankly, I
that's kind of
really like
part
the
of
way
it.
they are coached, because I have watched a couple of Oilers games, not even full games, but I do love that, they don't put them together, but when there's 40 seconds left in the period, then they do put them together. Then they're like, okay,
Yeah,
we're not gonna be able to run this one. Then we're just gonna push it all out there for the final bit of the period. And it's like, I mean, yeah, why not at that point? So I
or
do
even
like the way they run them.
right after a penalty kill as well. If
They're
the
both
Oilers kill
rested
a
up.
penalty, they'll throw them both out there, and because then you're usually probably going up against guys from the second unit, or they start to put out guys from their third line, and it's like, all right, well, let's try capitalize on it. And I do like
Yeah.
that, but then you kind of look at it, and I still like Zach Hyman, but he's not a 50 goal a year guy, right? He had the 1 year,
No.
but that's not something that's going to happen again.
That was the year McDavid had 100 assists, right?
Yeah,
Probably, at least. Like it's
yeah. Yeah, it's tough, right? Because there's comparing that, and then also is McDavid fully trying? Is he saving it for the playoffs? Meanwhile, Nathan MacKinnon is going out there and just crushing it every single game, and like not slowing down.
Yeah.
What was McKinnon's playoff numbers the last like 2 years?
The
We'll go
last
last 2 years because Edmonton went on those runs the last 2 years, and we know how
Yeah.
great McDavid was in it.
So
I
obviously,
can't remember
McKinnon's played
McKinnon's.
a lot less games than McDavid has in the past 2 off seasons or postseasons. In 11 games, he had 4 goals, 10 assists for 14 points. So pretty good, but I mean, we are talking about best in the world.
Yeah,
Last year, in those 7 games, 7 goals, goal per game, and 4 assists on top of that.
where's this? Yeah, so I'm still leaning towards McDavid. Just so like I think really what it comes
42
down
and
to,
33 points in
yeah.
McDavid's last 2 playoff runs. So
And obviously a lot more games played than McKinnon. Like it's not just because McDavid put up more points,
yeah,
but I think
25 and
it's how
22.
much he has dominated over the playoffs. Um, I think the biggest thing you can kind of take away from this is the fact that it can at least be a conversation.
Yeah.
Over the last couple years, it's been McDavid's unanimous number one, and you're deciding on who's two
Yeah,
because you
you're
already know he's
decide.
got
Do
the
you like
top spot locked up.
Kucherov or McDavid or McKinnon? Maybe you really like defenseman and you're thinking Makar, or maybe you like Hellebuck. Like those
Yeah,
are really the only guys that were in that conversation, and now it's to the point where it's some of those guys lower down, and then it's either McKinnon in a different tier, McDavid in another tier, or those two in that top tier. So
yeah,
it is very Jesus Christ. He's still only 28. That's absurd.
and both very good players, in their own right, but they're different in the sense of I feel like McDavid's kind of more, um, you know, can make everyone around him better by the plays he makes. Whereas
Yeah,
I feel like McKinnon more is the driving force behind the line, and it's you got to put yourself in a good spot. You got to be able to keep up. Both good players. Obviously, both have great speed, but I feel like the way they kind of play the game is a bit different. McDavid's more of
I agree.
the superstar player, whereas McKinnon's kind of a you can get away with almost calling him a power forward at times because of
I
the
was
way
just about to say
he
it. Yeah.
just drives it in the offensive zone, and I think that's a big um, thing with it, right? Where I feel like you can put anybody with McDavid, and I think you probably could with McKinnon, but I feel like you almost kind of got to put maybe a bit smarter players with McKinnon because of his style of play. Like anyone can go out there and stand in front of the net and just have McDavid just wire you passes all game long.
Yeah.
But the way McKinnon plays is very I don't want to say more entertaining, but it's very entertaining in the way that he plays where you
He
gotta
kind
be
of plays like
smart
a
to
be a
see
pro,
what
doesn't
he's
he?
doing.
Like he's
Yeah,
not
kind of,
like
yeah.
he's kind of always out there trying to help other guys help him create offense, whereas
Hmm.
McDavid's just you know, he's fine getting the other guy the open pass on an empty net because he made the goalie
Yeah.
bite so hard. Like it, for a lack of a better comparison, it almost feels like a Gretzky and Lemieux situation. I don't think Gretzky could ever take over the game on his own the way Lemieux did, in a sense that like when you think of Mario Lemieux, what are you thinking of, right? Him going end to end. He's pushing, he's like stiff arming people away from him. He just walks through the defense, and then he just dangles the goalie and beats him on his own. With
Hmm.
Gretzky, it's like he's in the zone and he makes some obscene pass. He has vision on somebody nobody else knew was there, and all of a sudden it's in the net. Like it's
Yeah.
and I mean, we're obviously talking about McDavid, who yeah, he can go end to end pretty good too with the best of them. Um,
Yeah,
but
so
yeah,
final answer, I'm still going McDavid, but I think
okay,
it's very incredible that we can even have a conversation about it at
yeah.
this point because that didn't seem like that was a possibility a few years ago, and that we're able to even have that now. I think is really impressive and speaks a lot to Nathan MacKinnon and you know kind of what he's blossomed to be, what he's turned around to be. I actually got a stat here that I saw the other day that actually kind of goes along with this debate here. So it was McKinnon's fourth year in the league, I'm pretty sure. Where is it here? I know I've got it somewhere here. And if I don't, that's going to suck.
His 4th year?
Shit, maybe I don't anymore.
I've got some of his season stats up from that year.
So basically, it was just highlighting the amount of points he had since that 4th year, where he had, what was it, like 54 points in the regular season or something?
Yeah,
and the Avs finished bottom of the league, and
the next year and then just looking at his less games and had 44 more points. More points. Like,
yeah, so it was just kind of like you just look at how much his career took off from that moment, and it was kind of him just saying, took a look at himself in the mirror and was like, this isn't acceptable, like, need to be better, all this, and then all of a sudden his career's just taken off and hasn't looked back since. And
it's stats like this that have made me so comfortable with Bedard being where he was at the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, is he that guy? We were talking about him like he's the next, he's Sidney Crosby with Austin Matthews' shot. Like, where's this guy who's supposed to own the league? And it's like, okay, well, McKinnon's been at absolute worst, top 3 player over the past 5 years. And it took him 5 seasons to be better than half a point per game and 16 goals on the year. Like, that's what he was doing in year 4. And then the year after, 74 games, up to 39 goals and 97 points. Even if his penalty minutes took a huge jump, like, he did everything more. So,
yeah. No, I like that
some guys just take a bit longer.
Yeah, I like that it's definitely a debate now between McDavid and McKinnon. I think it definitely could be completely different by next year, and that'll a big part of this episode that we're doing. We'll be covering the Avalanche and the start to their season, and if things go right for the Avalanche, maybe things go a little bit south for the Oilers. I think Olympics could be a very big factor. There's
you were mentioning
by
4
next
nations.
Year, we could have different answers by next year.
Yeah, you mentioned 4 nations, and you know what? Yeah, McKinnon most goals in the tournament, at least for Team Canada. MVP for Team Canada, who are the winners. But at the same time, McDavid had a lot of clutch goals, including the golden goal.
That is true. That is very true. Absolutely.
Yeah, I do think we'll probably know the answer pretty close to this question after the playoffs this year, because I think, despite how incredible McKinnon's been in the last couple playoffs, I think McDavid's in just absolutely nuts numbers in these past 2 cup runs or finals runs have been just unreal. So,
absolutely, yeah.
And he could put up another one and this time win the cup, or maybe the Oilers go out in the first or second round. Like, that's
maybe don't even make the playoffs. It's always a possibility.
It's always a possibility.
Always a possibility. And one of the possibilities of it we'll also be covering at some point throughout this episode. But we can move on from that. I think that was a good way to kick off the episode and get us started here. The 3 stars of the week. Again, this is NHL's list for 3 stars a week, not our own. Braden, do you want to hit us with the 3 stars for last week?
3 stars of the week. So at number 1, we have from your Calgary Flames, Rasmus Andersson. Number 2, from the Columbus Blue Jackets, Zach Werenski. And number 3, Macklin Celebrini from your San Jose Sharks.
All 3 terrific.
I'm not gonna lie. I knew Celebrini and Werenski had a great week. I haven't heard much about Rasmus Andersson. What did he put up on the week?
So Rasmus Andersson, he was obviously first star of the week. 4 games played, 2 goals, 7 assists for 9 points.
That'll do it.
Zach Werenski, 4 games played, 3 goals, 5 assists for 8 points. And Celebrini, 4 games played, 4 goals, one of them being, with I guess 3 of those goals being in a hat trick. 3 assists for 7 points. So all 3 players
Pretty
had
solid
very
week.
fantastic weeks. Yeah, Rasmus Anderson had a very good week. He definitely, we were chatting about it. I believe it was during the Dallas game. And I said, I'm obviously a very big Mackenzie Weegar fan, as are you, as are, I think a lot of people. But Rasmus Anderson is just better suited to run their top power play unit. I feel like the entire Flames top power play unit looks just so much better when Rasmus Anderson is running things from the point. And I think a big part of that is now, seeing the Flames power play start to produce a bit more, and Rasmus Anderson obviously is starting to find that offensive jump that's kind of been missing over the last bit. And I mean, hey, Flames won 3 in a row, so 4 games played last week for them, but they got 3 wins out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some guys that are incredible defensively and they can do all kinds of stuff, but running quarterbacking that top power play is just a different job entirely. Like if you ask anybody on the Hurricanes, I'm sure all of them are telling you Slavin's their best defenseman. Has he ever quarterbacked their power play? Even their second power play? Like, probably
They're
not.
constantly going out and, they went out and they got
They go and get Burns.
Brent Burns to do it, and then Burns was kind of starting to get up there in age, and so what do? They go out and they get Shingoss spare, who has been absolutely fantastic at doing that. It's a totally different style being out there, and especially from the point you're trying to slow things down, but at the same time you also have to be quick at what you're doing, because more teams are starting to apply the pressure on the penalty kill. They're not just sitting back in their box or diamond and waiting things out. They're applying pressure, so you need to be back there and you need to slow it down to make it easier for your guys on the sides and potentially in the bumper spot. But it's not easy. It's not easy. Rasmus Anderson does a very fantastic job at doing it. And if the Flames are planning to trade him, I think it's very important that they showcase this season, that this is what he is capable of. And if you are looking for a guy that, you need to run a power play, he can easily do that, probably better suited to work with, the better players on the top unit. But it's kind of a showcase of, hey, if you want Rasmus Anderson, look at what he's capable of doing when you give him the opportunity.
Yeah.
Do the Flames trade him? I don't know. They seem to want to hold on to everybody forever. So
it's been so weird. Like, for almost a year now, they've been going back and forth on we do want to get a deal done, both sides. Oh, now neither of us can come to agreement. But now all of a sudden we do again. Like, they've been so back and forth. I have no idea if he's going to stay or go at this point.
But it's like the same thing we kind of saw with Elias Lindholm at times. It was like, oh, he's for sure gone now. It's like, oh, maybe there's an extension. Okay, now he's for sure gone. But don't be surprised if an extension comes out and it's like, okay, he's gone again. Meanwhile, it's like Noah Hannafin. We knew the whole time he was gone. We knew the Flames wanted to keep him, but we knew Noah Hannafin had no interest in sticking around in Calgary after, all the pieces that they lost.
Yeah.
But I think Anderson wants to stay.
Yeah.
I think Calgary would like to have him stay, but I think Calgary's also on the side of realizing where they're at and being like, we want to keep him, but for the long-term future of this team, does it make sense? And I think that's where you kind of got to look at it from. Yeah. Because overall, you got to do what's best for the team moving forward. And rough start to the year, the team's starting to look better. Team's starting to find a way to score goals. That's been their biggest struggle, is goal scoring.
If they can look to try and move him while he's on a bit of a hot streak, if they're looking around and nobody's giving him great offers, like if you're not getting at least 2 firsts or the equivalent of 2 firsts for a player like this, then at that point I do think you're better off just extending him and keeping him. Like, I get the whole you want to tank for the best draft pick thing, but at the same time, how much help do you really need with that? There's not a lot of bad teams in the NHL right now. you're already near the bottom. Like, I think they'd be better off moving Kadri, and if the right deal isn't out there for Anderson, then as long as he's not asking for ludicrous money.
Yeah, so the one thing I'll say is obviously not a
'Cause he
lot
is
of bad
young
teams in the league right now, but if Calgary doesn't actively sell off, there's going to be a lot of teams in that mix that are going to get worse because they are going to sell off. I'm talking about teams like, I'm assuming maybe if Seattle's in there, San Jose, Buffalo, probably Chicago, because again, I think Chicago is going to kind of come back down to earth a bit more. Nashville,
I
maybe
don't think Nashville's
Pittsburgh.
selling. I think they should, but I don't think they will.
I think they will if they're bottom of the league come the deadline. I think they will. I think they'll have no choice.
It's so hard to know. We've never seen Barry Trotz as a GM, and it's already been very confusing.
It hasn't been great. So, because worst case scenario for Calgary is you extend Anderson, you don't trade Kadri, and you finish 10th last in the league.
Yeah.
Then that is, and Flames fans might like it because Anderson and Kadri are staying. But in terms of a franchise point of view, that is just a wasted season.
Yeah,
because you're not getting that A-level prospect that you need, specifically on the forward side.
At best, they want to finish 5th last.
You're now handcuffed.
You can't be any higher than that. And if you are higher than that, then you better be making the playoffs at that point. Like,
Calgary needs a top 4 pick.
Yeah,
in my opinion, you need a top 4 pick to get that solidified.
Top 4 specifically? Forward. Is there a bit of a fall off after the top 4?
Not a huge fall off, but I think just from what the scouts are kind of saying in terms of like, ideally you would, if you get the 5th overall pick, you're still getting a good player, but it does kind of seem like that top 4 is the like elite level, whereas 5 and 6, maybe 7 is kind of the elite level. So you're still getting a very good player, but it's kind of the same as
it's a lot different than getting a game breaker.
Yeah, like you're getting
who's
a guy.
Who's the 4th guy in those top 4? There's obviously McKenna, Verhoff,
Eaton Verhoff, Ivar Stenberg. Stenberg might go 1st overall. Don't be surprised if that happens.
Nice.
And Lawrence. Trying to think of the first name, but I've heard a lot of people are very high on him.
Or like something like that.
I think it's like Ty or something. But I'm pretty sure Lawrence is the guy that they're talking about in that top 4 that
Tynan Lawrence.
Tynan Lawrence. Yeah. And again, I think he's kind of the for sure 4. If
he's a clear cut above the guys below him, but he's not in that top 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's kind of the guy that's just like made to go in 4 because you're not better than the 3 in front of you, but you're better than the guys below you.
Kind of like a guy like Draisaitl when you're talking about the best players in the NHL, at least over the past few years,
Absolutely, yeah. I think Draisaitl and Matthews are literally in a world of their own. You're a step up from the guys below you, but the guys above you are a step up from you.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to say when we're talking about, Draisaitl, Matthews, but again,
guys who have
we just debated
McDavid for a while now.
McKinnon and then Kucherov, who we didn't even talk about much, is still a step up. Yeah, congrats to the NHL's 3-star of the week. Again, it's the NHL's list, not our list. If you want to hear our list, maybe you'll get it one day. Who knows?
Hey, you know what? I'll hit him with one from this week because I do want to give a shout out to one Andrei Vasilevsky. I know because I'm the biggest homer, but for those who haven't seen it, he made an insane save against Edmonton. He's made an insane first save and then made the second save by, it's like a half scorpion. He didn't get his leg fully up, but he got his leg up enough to block a save that should have been impossible. Gensel goes the other way and scores, but in his 3 games this week, a 969 save percentage, a 960, that's the Edmonton game, and then capped off by a shutout last night against the Flyers. So a 960 was his worst game out of the 3.
Hey, all I can say is I went up against Vasilevsky in fantasy this week, and David Riddick beat him. That's all I can say.
Riddick probably didn't have more points on the week.
Hey, but Ritta got me the dub in the end
Yeah, fair enough.
after all the adjustments. No, Vasilevsky obviously did have a
There's a
very
lot of guys having a
impressive
phenomenal
weekend.
week.
It's again, it's one of those things, where there's some people that still believe he's the best goalie. A lot of people still believe it's Hellebuck, and I am on the Hellebuck side, but it's always interesting when you kind of see, we talked about last week, Hellebuck goes down with that injury, and now Vasilevsky's like taking his game to the next level again, it seems. And he's getting back to what we kind of know he can be. And it's always kind of weird that it kind of seems to line up that way when a guy goes down with an injury. It's like a guy steps up and he's like, all right, the door is open for me to establish myself as the number one guy in the league again, right? And I think Vasilevsky did um, a great job this week in terms of doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
I'm also liking the debates between fans on the younger goalies too, because we've got a lot of young, exciting goalies in the league this year. And a lot of fans are debating about that, and I think that's also very fun. One of which we'll be discussing in a bit here as well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we can kind of segue into that a bit here because I've got the league leading save percentage numbers up here. Like you were mentioning, Connor Hellebuck and Vasilevsky both tied at a 913 at the moment. That's tied with a couple of guys in fifth. Daniil Tarasov is there, and so is Yaroslav Askarov, one of those young goalies. And then above that, Casey DeSmith, 917, Scott Wedgwood, 918, and then two young goalies at 1 and 2, and a lot higher than number 3 as well. Spencer Knight, a 924, Jesper Wallstedt, a 935.
How many games has Wallstedt played, though?
He has played.
Again, like this isn't to take anything away. I'm just curious
No.
on.
He has
on
8 games played and a 935. Six wins, 0 losses, and 2 overtime losses.
And
3 shutouts. He's
got 3 shutouts in a 4-game span. And you also put in here that Minnesota, we were talking about Minnesota kind of being down in the shitters. They were down there with Calgary, San
I think
Jose,
they were 29th in the
Nashville
league
at that point. Yeah.
Like
and
two
it was,
and a half
and
weeks
it was
ago.
bad. We outlined every reason why they were where they were. And a lot of it was kind of, more micro numbers. But again, what do we got here? They're 7th in the entire league. 8-1-1 in their last 10. And obviously it's not all because of Jesper Wallstedt, but when you put him in and he's winning games, when you're putting your backup in and he's kind of automatic right now to get you a win is huge. And Minnesota now is looking.
How many wins does Minnesota have on the season?
No, not unstoppable, but they're looking good. I don't know. I'll let you.
On the season, the Wild have 12 wins. How many shutouts do you think their team has?
Well, Gustafsson
obviously
has
you win a shutout.
2. So they have 5, right?
Yeah. They've already got 5. They've got 5 shutouts in their 12 wins. Like, that's so goofy. Jesper Wallstedt is leading all goalies in the league at the moment in shutouts. He's the only one with 3. And then there's only a handful of guys with 2. A bunch of them with 1. Only 4 guys have 2, and Gustafsson, their other goalie, is one of them. Well,
remember when we were talking about Minnesota, what was their big thing? Their power play was, incredible. And I'm pretty sure their penalty kill and defense was pretty good. It was just their 5-on-5 scoring that was dog shit. And it's definitely gotten a lot better, and that plays in part with it. Jesper Wallstedt, who I guess going into last season, so not going into this year, but in the previous season, it was kind of the debate at the time, and that was around the time that Askarov got traded to San Jose, and it was debate of who's the top goalie prospect, because all the writers, they always do their top prospects, but they never include goalies, because again, how do you compare a forward prospect to a goalie prospect or a defenseman prospect to you can't. So they do the goalie separately, and it was back and forth between all of them. Is it Askarov? Is it Wallstedt? Back and forth. And Askarov had a pretty decent year his first year in San Jose. Jesper Wallstedt struggled quite a bit with Minnesota. Now, again, I don't know how good Minnesota's AHL team was, but point being, Jesper Wallstedt had a rough year. To the point where a lot of guys kind of soured on him, and going into this year was Askarov was the unanimous number one, and Jesper Wallstedt was down in that 8 or 9 range.
Yeah, like he dropped
And the
out
fall
like
off
of
was
people's top 5 and
huge.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think this is huge for him to come into this year and pretty early on in the year show exactly what kind of goalie he is, what he's capable of, and just looks incredible. Absolutely terrific start to the year. Couldn't be happier for Wallstedt. I was always on the camp that he was going to be a good goalie. Was a little bit unsure after last year if he was going to be able to reach that like elite status, but I think he's proven absolutely he can.
Yeah, it's always fun to see these young guys. You know, people start doubting them, and they come in and he shut them up real quick. And now Minnesota's at a point where, I mean, are they running a tandem right now? Like,
I think you kind of have to,
because Gustafsson was phenomenal last year, and like we said, you know, he's already got 2 shutouts. Other than Wallstedt, he'd be tied for the league lead. So
didn't Gustafsson just recently get an extension too?
I believe so.
I remember talking about that at some point. Can't remember when it was, but
I think it was in the off season.
I do remember we were discussing that. An extension.
Yeah, this is the last year of his current contract, and he already has the extension in place. The screen doesn't go over far enough to show how long. So he has the rest of this season, and then after that, a 5-year extension kicks in. So he is signed with the Wild until 2031. His cap hit this summer will be going up to $6.8 million.
And so, like, if you're having to pick a goalie and things keep going the way for Wallstedt, obviously, I think that's the guy they're going to go with. And, again, also because much younger. That is a movable contract for Gustin, but I think right now, if these guys are playing the way they are, you run with a tandem. If one guy goes a little cold, one gets a little hot, you run with that guy. You know, I think Minnesota's in a very good spot goaltending wise. You know who could use a guy like Jesper Wallstedt? And it sucks
Edmonton
because
again?
Yeah, it's Edmonton, and it sucks that Edmonton is getting clowned on the most because of Jesper Wallsted's, you know, incredible start to the year. And I think it's fair because the pick used for Wallstedt obviously belonged to Edmonton, and Edmonton was willing to trade back and have Minnesota trade up and take Wallstedt. And you just look at it, it's like Edmonton needed a goalie at that time. There was arguments that Wallstedt was the number 1 ranked goalie in the draft, and he was falling to them. And
who did Edmonton take in the draft with that pick that they
traded down? In the league. He's not even in the league. Xavier Borgo.
Oh, I think he's might be in the league. I've heard that name.
You've heard it.
I don't think he's doing much. I don't think he's doing much.
I don't think he's. I don't even think. Let me look up where he is right now, because I know he's not even with Edmonton anymore.
Yeah,
they shipped him out.
I want to say the Devils for some reason, but I don't think that's right.
He's with the Senators. He's yet to play an NHL game in his career. 13 points in 18 games in the AHL for Ottawa. For their
AHL numbers. But yeah, and honestly, the Wild can run this tandem. Like, for how good this tandem is, they're spending just a shave under $6 million on that goaltending this year. Next year, when the extension kicks in, it'll be up to $9 million. That's still not bad for such a good tandem. It's not bad.
Yeah, like what was Boston paying for their tandem?
I was gonna say there's a handful of goalies that are making more than $9 million on their own. So to have both of them that good, you never have to be like, fuck, we're playing the backup. I sure hope he doesn't get shelled. Like,
and if one of them goes down with an injury for 3 months, you're not hitting the panic button. You're like, okay, we're fine.
Yeah,
because we've still got another fantastic goalie.
Both guys can be the starter if needed to be called upon.
Can be,
and after these 2 seasons, Wallstedt's still an RFA. Like, they've got a really nice situation, and frankly, I do see Gustafsson probably at some point, either next year or the summer after next year, getting moved when Wallstedt gets his extension. I assume that's how it's going to go.
And I think if you're Minnesota, I think that's the the smart play because you can probably still get a pretty good haul back for Wallstead.
A good goalie who's
Or
locked in.
for Gustafsson, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A good goalie who's locked in for term. He's young, like that. Always in demand.
Mhm.
They could probably send him back to Edmonton. They could send Gustafsson up to Edmonton, and
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Minnesota's in a really good spot right now. Jesper Wallstead playing out of his mind, and yeah,
just like
really
that,
good spot for Minnesota.
they're right up with the top teams in the league all of a sudden.
Right where they should be. Absolutely. What do we got next on our hands here?
Do we want to talk about Rantanen next?
Yeah, let's talk about Rantanen. Let's talk about him.
All right. Where do we start with this one? Should we start with the first hit? Well, no, we talked about the first hit on the last episode. Mikko Rantanen has been auto-suspended for 1 game after receiving 2 separate game misconducts in a 3-game span. A lot of people, including myself, had not heard of this before. I guess it's just never come up, but recently. But the rule is an automatic 1-game suspension if you get 2 game misconducts in a 3-game span. So they didn't look at it and decide to give him a suspension. After the after the second hit, that was the boarding against Matt Coronado against the Flames. They did review it and they decided not to give any further discipline. I definitely think they should have, because that means they see this hit as a not suspension worthy. Like they didn't give him a suspension for it. He just got one because of the misconducts.
So
I don't
know for sure. I feel like if the rule wasn't into effect, I think he probably would have gotten suspended for the hit. But I think they kind of looked at it and they're like, well, he's already getting suspended. And it kind of tells me more than anything that he was only going to get suspended for 1 game for this hit.
Yeah.
Because I truly do believe that after the Romanov one, even though they didn't deem Rantanen fully at fault, which I think is still kind of insane.
Romanov
the fact
out
that
for 5 to 6
it,
months after shoulder surgery as well. So
so you hit a guy from behind, you take him out for the rest of the season, you don't get a game, but you're on thin ice. Even though you didn't get suspended, even though you're not the one who's deemed at fault for whatever reason, you're still on thin ice, and you've got a microscope on you for a few games or for 2 games or whatever.
Yeah, but
he did it again. And, ran Coronado in the numbers, broke Coronado's nose.
Super needless hit, too. Like, there's not much going on that play. Like,
yeah. And so I'm on the belief that he was only going to get 1 game after this hit. And they're like, well, he's already getting the 1 game for the automatic. Well, let's just leave it at that. And I don't agree with it. I think, we've already gone into the Romanov one and how that one was bad. But it's the Coronado one. You're hitting a guy from behind in the numbers. And I know people will say Coronado turned. Doesn't matter because Rantanen was looking at numbers the entire way in.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was going in for a shoulder
to shoulder.
But
he was, whether he hit him before, after, or during the turn, he was always catching numbers, and that's it.
Yeah. It was going to be a dangerous hit regardless. The reason Coronado broke his nose, yes, is because he turned. That I'll be on the thing about that. But the point of the matter is Rantanen was going in for a blindside hit regardless.
And that's what he's on trial for, not the broken nose, right? Like, it's what he did. So
when Rantanen's probably got 50 pounds on Coronado, I imagine.
Probably.
And to just, it's, again, I won't put the broken nose on Rantanen because that's because Coronado turned fine. But again, it's still a dirty hit. It's a reckless hit. And
frankly, I think you can put the nose on him as well because, he wasn't thinking about Coronado's safety when he hit him in the numbers, right?
Like, I mean, true, but if Coronado didn't turn the way he did, his nose probably doesn't get broken. So, like, I'm still kind of blaming Rantanen, but I'm not saying it's solely his fault.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying it's fully Rantanen, but like it's still.
But at a certain point when you're being reckless, it's like anything that does happen for any reason, it's like you didn't put yourself in a spot to not do this very well.
Exactly. But the weird thing is you see when a guy, and I guess it's kind of tough because I guess most times these guys do get suspended, which is kind of weird Rantanen. But when you watch guys who make a dangerous hit. You know, even Tom Wilson, because I've noticed this from Tom Wilson before. When you do something like that, and again, Tom Wilson gets suspended, so maybe that's why it's different. But when they come back, you notice them play a little bit more reserved. They're not wanting to get in there and mix it up too much. They're not even wanting to play the body because they're trying to not put themselves in a spot to get suspended again or get a hearing or get any kind of discipline.
You want to curry some good favor with the league, with the refs. Like you want
so,
people
like,
to
I
forget
learned my
a little
lesson.
bit about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Whereas
even if you haven't, you got to put that face on for 3, 4, 5 games at least and be like, look at me. I'm not the menace people are portraying me as.
Yeah. And with Rantanen, again, just doesn't seem, I don't want to say doesn't seem to care because, like, I don't know him personally, but didn't seem to care when, going into this game, because there was only one game removed. Dallas played the Islanders. I think there was one game in the middle.
I think they played Vancouver.
And then they're playing Calgary. Okay. So Vancouver in the middle. And then goes out and does this. I just don't like it. I think it's kind of a coward move by the league, in my opinion. George Peros to just go the automatic one game because that's what's there and then leave it there. The game Rantanen will miss is the only NHL game going on against the Oilers Tuesday. I guess today.
Yeah.
That'll be the game he misses. So big game that Rantanen will be missing. But again, I think what I would have done is I think the one game is fair for, well, obviously the one game is fair for the automatic, but then I'd throw in an additional 2 games. So 3 games.
I like that.
Misses.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine because I think the dust is settled from the Romanov one. I think he should have been suspended at the time. I definitely think he should have been suspended at the time, looking at how long Romanov's out for.
But I was going to say, that would even out to 1 game for each of the hits, which I think is pretty fair, and then the automatic +1.
Yeah. Well, I was more so going on, you can't even worry about the Romanov one now because, like, that it's done. But the automatic 1 game, and then you just be like, hey, you know what?
You were on thin ice. You didn't
even go 2 full games without running another guy from behind. So for that, you get 2. And I've been like, you know what? Now all is good. But you injure 2 guys and you're only getting suspended because of a rule that we're only finding out about that exists now.
I was gonna say, no, I haven't seen anybody know that this rule existed. Everything I've heard from everybody is I guess this just never happens. Guys normally aren't, they're usually walking on eggshells after a game suspension, at least enough that they're not getting another game misconduct. Sorry. So
because
they don't, they're not getting 2 in a 3-game span. So yeah.
Because what was it in the whatever playoff game that was? I think at the time, I don't know. Whenever Darnell Nurse got in that fight, and I think it was Nurse that got the automatic 1-game suspension because he started a fight in the final 5 minutes. Even the announcers at the time were like, well, Nurse is gone for the next game because they knew about that rule of being like, Nurse went out there and instigated a fight in the final 5 minutes. That's going to get him a 1-game suspension.
Yeah.
There was no talk of, we know Rantanen's getting suspended after this game misconduct because I don't think anybody knew about this rule. This rule could have been made up just after the game, being like, all right, this is how we're going to suspend him because we don't want to have to suspend him. But hey, there's this rule that means we're not doing it, but it's part of the rule, so you got to be suspended because nobody knew about this.
And when you say nobody knew about this, this is the kind of thing where TSN beat reporters, your Darren Dreggers, your Elliot Friedmans, those kind of guys would be making tweets about this and stuff. Nobody did until it happened. Even those guys who are some of the most insanely keyed in people in the world, I think even they didn't know about it. I think it's literally the league and some of the refs. I bet most of the refs didn't know that was a thing.
I wouldn't be shocked. It's all I could say on it is again, dirty hit. Glad Coronato's okay though. I'm glad Rantanen's at least getting suspended of some sort because now at least that's kind of on his record.
At least
he's not deemed as a clean player with no history. This will count. And so I mean for that at least we got.
That was one thing I was I was really worried. I haven't watched because usually they do the write up on why a guy does or doesn't get suspended. They do their frankly pretty shitty video that's on usually on the NHL website. Um, but I was not looking forward to watching that and hear them go. Uh, you know, forcefully pushes him from behind. This is a boarding play. Mikko Rantanen has
Mhm.
was assessed a game misconduct, but he has not been suspended for the following reasons. And then they would say Coronado turned and he has no history.
Yeah.
And the last thing I wanted to hear about why he doesn't get suspended is he has no history 2 games after dumping Romanov into the boards.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that would have been. The last thing I'll say on this is I still personally don't believe Rantanen is a dirty player. I think Rantanen's a player that's kind of plays on the line, a little bit on the edge. But when you're talking about dirty players, you're talking about like not even necessarily Tom Wilson now, but like Tom Wilson back in the day was absolutely Matt Rempe. You could even you could throw in guys like Sam Bennett in there from stuff they did in the playoffs.
Nick
Um,
Cousins.
Nick Cousins, yeah, but I don't think Rantanen falls in that category. I think Rantanen plays a
He's much
hard
closer
physical
to
game.
a Kucherov, a Malkin, a Draisaitl, not just because of their skill level, but those guys that they just have that mean streak. Every once in a while, they do it. It's kind of weird to see Rantanen do it
every now and then, but it's not a part of their game that you've always got to be on the lookout for every night.
Yeah,
type of thing. Yeah, I totally agree with those players. Absolutely.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if he, does he chill out and this is just a random thing that happened, or is he just
I got to
a guy
imagine
that's playing on the edge all of a sudden?
I hope it's lesson learned because I like Rantanen. I like the Dallas Stars, and they're a fun team to watch. When they I would have loved to see the fully healthy, well, almost fully healthy Dallas Stars kind of rolling into Edmonton. And again, not having Rantanen kind of sucks for that game. Like I like when
that's a marquee matchup.
Guys aren't getting suspended and doing dumb shit. And I hope, and
when guys aren't getting injured, obviously.
Yeah, obviously the injuries. Yeah. So hopefully Rantanen learned his lesson. I think he probably has, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I don't love the precedent this sets going forward for the league because I think the players are getting pretty good at reading between the lines on decisions like this. And I think what Department of Player Safety says here is both of those are non-suspendable hits. You can go and do those. You might get kicked out of the game, but any one of them on their own in a 3-game span is a non-suspendable action, even if it's in the final 30 seconds. And I don't.
But at the same time, now there's going to be 2 games that Rantanen's going to have circled in March when he goes up against the Flames, when he goes up against the Islanders. Yeah, because someone's going for him. Whether you agree that should or shouldn't happen, the point being, it's gonna. That's a game at the beginning of March and a game at the end of the March.
Shout out to Huberdeau for going and fighting him. Huberdeau didn't think about not fighting him. He saw Coronado go down on the hit and immediately went after him. I loved that for him. Even though he got the instigator penalty and all that. No, that's
bullshit, but good on him absolutely for getting in there.
The Flames could lose that game solely on that penalty, and I think you gain more from what happens in the locker room and the camaraderie, the respect, all that. I think you end up with a net positive, even if you lose solely on that penalty. Like that's something you have to do. You have to stand up like that.
Yeah,
just
absolutely. I'll let you. I think I've a potential. I don't know for sure, but I might have a package at the door. Do you want to just do the Crosby one? I know you kind of threw this one in here, so and there's not much to say about it. I'll come back and glaze Crosby if you want to, but I'll let you kind of do the breakdown of it.
Have time to glaze Crosby.
Always.
Yeah. So Sidney Crosby, the other night with a multi-point game, became only the 6th player in NHL history to have 500 multi-point games. Obviously, you could probably guess who has the most, Wayne Gretzky with 824. But below him is Jaromir Jagr at 540, Marcel Dion and Mark Messier both at 513. Gordie Howe at 5'11", and now Crosby at 500. I wouldn't be shocked to see Crosby put up at least 14 more multi-point games in his career, and that would put him in sole possession of third all time. It's Crosby. I could see 41 more multi-point games. All it takes is 2 assists, a goal and an assist, in those games, and then he'll be second all time. So nobody's catching Gretzky with that one, but for a long time at the very least. But Crosby just continues to. I love that we're at the point in his career where he's still playing at such an elite level, but we are seeing him be up there in these all-time conversations with these stats now, not just like how revered he is, but like he's getting there with the counting stats at this point.
How many did you say Crosby needs to get to third? 14?
To third, he needs 14 more to get to third place.
Just saying. Wouldn't be totally shocked if it happened this season.
Yeah. Like, it's, for a guy of his skill level, it's not that hard to get a multi-point game, obviously. And 14 more with 60-ish games to go, I could absolutely
I'm going to see how many he's got this season, actually. I'm curious. What Crosby, how many he has this so far this season. How many points do you have? 23? Okay, maybe not, actually. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Was this preseason or regular season? This was their first. He's got 7 already this season.
And so he's already got 7, and he only needs 14 more, and we're like 25% of the way through the season.
Yeah, so absolutely, yeah.
So he's on pace to do it.
We might be talking about it. Yeah, we'll probably come back to it at some point this season.
Yeah,
because he's on pace to do it. Where do you go, Crosby? Yeah. Not much to say on this one, but kind of just throw it in there. Logan Cooley scored the first 4-goal game in Mammoth history against Vegas because, again, the Mammoth are their own thing. Nothing to do with the Coyotes.
They have their own history, their own stats. They are separating from that. Yeah.
Again, not much to say on that. Congrats to Logan Cooley. Incredible game.
He's been on an absolute tear. He's been so good.
Yeah. He's already making that extension look nice. You mentioned this one to me. I kind of read about it, but I forgot about it. The Vancouver Canucks are letting teams know that their veteran players are available.
Yeah. They sent out a. I guess there's. I don't know the ins and outs super well, but I guess there's like, when teams want to make a trade, they will message other GMs most of the time. But then they also have this other channel that's kind of more of a slightly more official like email thing that goes out to all other teams. And I guess they use that to send out to all 31 other GMs and be like, hey, I don't know if they named specific players or if they just said veterans, but
it sounds like they just said they're veteran players, but it is noted that like Quinn Hughes obviously isn't available at this time. Yeah. But rumors around the Canucks are that if they are planning to move on from Quinn Hughes, they prefer to do it this season.
Yeah, which you would get a lot more
value with his contract still next year. You don't have to worry about an immediate extension. So, could be a lot of shakeup with the Canucks.
And you can retain on him. Now somebody's getting 2 years of Quinn Hughes in his prime for less than $4 million. Like, any team that does
back for him.
If you're even a fringe playoff team, you do that, you've got to be like a top 3 favorite for the cup, right?
When if you're New Jersey, like you're now talking about Simone Nemec, as good as he's been, he has to be a part of the deal.
Yeah.
Dawson Mercer, probably 2 first-round picks. Like you're giving up the farm for him because that instantly makes you probably the favorite in the East. Well, maybe not the favorite in the East, but one of, because I think it's impossible to say you're the favorite with the Florida Panthers still looming around and only continuing to get healthier for the most part. Canucks could be a very different looking team by the end of the trade deadline.
It's such an insane thing that they said out loud that if they do want to trade him, they want it to be this season. because they can't extend him until next season.
Yeah.
Like, it's Quinn Hughes. You have to try to extend him. Like,
Yeah.
he's probably the third most important player in this franchise's history already, only behind the Sedins. Like,
Yeah.
it's
not crazy to say.
And he's 26. Like, he's still so young. He's their captain. Like, man,
Still
it
could
really
get better. Even.
Yeah. It really feels like he is want to be there, and it's starting to feel like the org's rejecting him a little bit. You know, they keep saying, like, if we have to trade him, we have to, but we want to keep him. But if we have to, and it's like, why don't you just say piss off? We're not trading my favorite player. Like gas him up. I don't know why they're entertaining it so hard. At least in the public eye.
Yeah.
If you have to do good business and talk to GMs about it, sure. But the fact that they keep saying it out loud is still just crazy to me.
It is weird. I still don't. I kind of understand it, but not fully. Because like I do kind of understand that, like, if you know he's leaving, like, you do got to move him, but like don't try to just push him out the door because you're scared he might not want to stick around. Like, don't force him to leave because you don't know. We don't know for sure what Quinn Hughes wants to do, but don't force it upon him, because
unless he publicly says
then...
I want to leave, they should not trade him this year. You have to try and extend this guy.
Exactly, absolutely. Couple more things here before we move on into our final segments here. The Colorado Avalanche,
they look unstoppable,
dominating the league right now. For people that believe, the Colorado Avalanche are dominating the league, let me just break it down for you here. The Colorado Avalanche are first in the NHL right now with a record of 16-1-5. They've lost one game in regulation so far this season in 22 games played. They are on pace to lose only 4 games.
Do we know who that was?
In regulation. We do. And I'll get into that as well, because I can also glaze one of my favorite players in the league right now.
I would say, I said that like it was Tampa. It wasn't.
No. They're on pace to lose 4 games in regulation all season long. That in itself right there is nuts. So far, because we're like Braden mentioned, we're at the quarter mark of the way through the season. The difference between the Avalanche, who are at first in the league, and the team in second, Carolina, 30 points. Yeah, that's what Carolina's at. So 7-point differential
30 points with
between
that,
first and second. The point differential between Carolina in second and the New York Rangers, all the way down in 26 in the league, 6 points. So the difference between first to second in the league is a greater gap than second to 26. That also does go to show how much parity there is in the league and how many good teams there are and whatnot.
I've never seen the league even close to this close all the way through. Like, Tampa is now alone, not tied in points, the top of the Atlantic with 28. There's 5 different teams that are all outside of the wild card with only 25. 5 teams all outside of the playoffs with 25 points, and top of the division is 28. Like, and any team can go on a 2-game win streak right now, and with the right other teams losing, they are in it. Like, the only teams that aren't at that point are the Flames and the Predators. And even then, the Flames, if they win 2 games, that puts them at 23 points. Playoffs are 27 points. Like, it's a bit more of a gap, but it's still fairly close.
And even more with the Avs, who are on a 9-game win streak right now. They're doing this without their starting goalie, Mackenzie Blackwood. He's only played 4 games this year.
Yeah.
We knew Scott Wedgwood was a decent goalie, but if you told me, the Avalanche would be this dominant and Wedgwood would be standing on, I'd be like, probably not, but that's where we're at.
Currently leading the league in wins by 2.
Yeah. So you asked who the one team the Colorado Avalanche have their one regulation loss to. It is the only team. It's the team in the league that has the only player who Nathan MacKinnon doesn't have more goals than, and that's the Boston Bruins.
The Boston Bruins.
Morgan Geekie and Nathan MacKinnon both tied for the league lead in goals with 17. The next closest, Bo Horvat, Celebrini, Draisaitl, all of 14. So Morgan Geekie's he's hanging like,
and they're up at
Morgan
17.
Geekie's hanging in there with.
And they're up at 17.
Yeah,
they each have 3 goals on that next crop of guys who are all elite on their own. Like,
yeah. Morgan Geekie's having a hell of a year, and I know this is supposed to be like glazing how good the Avalanche are, but I just want to throw in there how impressive Morgan Geekie's been.
Absolutely, he's been so good.
There's a very good chance by the end of the calendar year he's going to have the most goals across the year of 2025. Morgan Geekie of all people, which I think is incredible. I love watching him play. But the Avalanche, I mean, running away with things right now.
I mean, at the time of recording, the Avalanche have all 5 of the top 5 players in the league in plus minus. The top 5 are all it's McKinnon, Makar, Lehkonen, Natchez, and Devon Taves. Who do you think's next after that?
Now, someone on Carolina, maybe.
Nikishin is actually also tied at 14, so I'll definitely give you that.
Oh no, the Ducks. No, yeah, the Ducks probably got someone. Yeah,
they got Trouba in there.
Trouba, yeah, because I remember Trouba was leading it at one point.
Yeah, Trouba, Troy Terry, and Protus also at 14.
Yeah,
and then
the Avalanche are having
the Avs are
a lot of people thought they were gonna take a step back, maybe fall off a bit without Rantanen now that the dust has settled, and that's not the case at all.
Now Rantanen's
they're looking better than they did last year. Yeah. So just want to throw that in there for the Avalanche, who, again, have had a phenomenal year. Maybe later this week, maybe we'll talk about Toronto a bit and kind of how they're on the opposite end, but we'll give it a couple more days and we'll see if Toronto can figure some things out. But if they can't, it might be a rough episode on Friday for Leafs fans.
Yeah, because they're at the bottom of the entire East, not just the Atlantic, the East. Which again, they're 5 points out of a playoff spot. There's not a huge gap yet, but you never love being at the bottom of your conference either.
Yeah. All right, what do we got here? We got one more little bit of thing we could talk about.
You have something on the Kraken. Yeah. I have not heard of this.
So the Seattle Kraken right now have a record of, who are they here in the standings? That's right, they're way up there. They have a record of 11, 5, and 6 right now. So what does that mean? They are on pace for 22 overtime shootout losses this year. Again, they're on pace. Not saying they're going to get it, but they're on pace. The NHL record is 18. So
18, good God.
The way I've kind of been thinking about it is, what if, pull up the Pacific, or I guess just the Western standings here. Imagine if the Seattle Kraken make the playoffs. Say they get to that 21, 22 overtime shootout losses.
Yeah.
Imagine they make the playoffs, and because of all those, loser points, that forces a Edmonton or Vegas out of the playoffs, and they miss.
That would be
probably
crazy.
Probably not Vegas, but I'll say Edmonton, because Edmonton's kind of up and down all over the place. Imagine if Seattle gets in, and the Edmonton Oilers, with Connor McDavid, the team that went to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, the team that makes all this money in the playoffs and whatnot, misses out because Seattle has all those overtime
because they kept
losses.
Getting to OT and then losing.
Could that force the league and Gary Bettman to finally go to the 3-2-1-0 point system? Could something like this happening finally force the league and be like, okay, the league is getting too close now. There's so many good teams, like we just talked about. The amount of points separating second to 26 is insane. Could that force the league into being like, we got to reward the teams that win in regulation? We got to kind of take a bit away from teams that are winning or losing, and it doesn't affect Seattle as much because of when they're still getting the 1 point for the overtime shootout loss, but it's more
Yeah.
so rewarding the teams that win in regulation.
Yeah.
I wonder if that could possibly spark a change in the league. And worth noting, Seattle 11 wins, only 7 in regulation.
So
they've got the
even
6 overtime shootout
even
losses,
4 of
and they
their
have 4.
Even 4 of their wins have been in OT. They just keep going to
10
extra frames.
10 of their 22
Wow. Almost
games have
half of
gone
their games
beyond
have gone to
regulation.
OT. That's crazy.
I wonder if it could spark change potentially. That's why I'm kind of sitting there rooting, like, you know what? I'd like Seattle to make the playoffs. I'd like them to keep losing games in overtime or shootout because it could force the NHL to do
At the very
something
least,
that
there's eyes on it then.
they seem to not want to do for whatever reason.
And
The Kraken could force change.
correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to remember, but when we covered
Could
the
be.
athletic player poll earlier this year and the NHLPA player poll, I believe both times both quizzes asked the same question of the players, and that was what is a rule that you would like implemented? And I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure both times the one that had the most votes from the players themselves was the 3-2-1 rule.
Isn't that what Matthew Tkachuk wanted on his podcast with Brady? Didn't he say that's the one rule he wanted to see changed?
I think you're right.
I think that's what he also threw in. So the players very clearly want it.
Yeah.
It's just the league that doesn't. So Seattle might be the team to force that.
Be interesting to say the least. We also see a lot of other leagues are adopting that system as well. So like, we do know that the NHL keeps an eye on what rules other leagues put in. They kind of keep an eye on how well they work out for them and all that. We were just talking last week about how the PWHL bringing in the fifth ref to watch for penalties and overturned calls before the guys down there even have to review it. Like,
Yep.
they're doing that, and that might seep into the NHL at some point. Do you know if the PWHL do they do the 3-point system?
I think they do.
I kind
I'm
of think
pretty
they do,
sure.
but I'm not 100%
Yeah,
sure.
pretty sure they
Um,
do. Yeah.
but it'll be interesting to see if it, starts getting on the NHL's radar a bit more, if it really starts to affect uh, teams making the playoffs or not.
Yeah, absolutely. With that, we can move on into one of our final segments here. This is one that
They do use the 3-2-1-0 point
they
system
do.
in the PWHL.
Okay, I
Yeah.
figured they did.
Yeah.
So we got 3 segments left. You don't know what this one is. I wanted to do this one last week, but I forgot about it. This is a pretty quick one, just kind of to get your raw reaction because I think you're going to be kind of shocked by this. So this was last week. This was part of Elliot Friedman's weekly breakdown, gather news from all around the league and whatnot.
Okay.
So there was a GM's meeting. There was a slide that was talking about power play penalty kill differential. A couple people were pretty shocked by a team that wasn't in last place. And now this is the crazy part. And this is all that was in here. So I only have the bottom 2 teams here. And I tried to find it online. It's like impossible to actually find this data. Over the
There are
past
some
20
stats there, yeah.
years, I've got the 2 teams who are at the bottom for power play penalty kill differential. So comparing how many power plays to penalty kills you got over the past 20 years.
So they've taken the most penalties and got the least power plays.
Pretty much, yeah. Exactly. Okay. And I've only got the bottom 2 teams. And I've got the teams, and I've got what their rating was. And I'll see if you can quickly try and figure out what teams these could be.
Okay.
You don't even have to guess the amount. I mean, you can if you want, but just trying to figure out what the teams might be over the past 20 years.
I don't even know what those numbers look like season to season for a team generally, less alone what they would look like over 20 years. So I have no idea on what the numbers would be, but one of my guesses is going to be the Calgary Flames.
Nope.
Okay. The Weidman thing happened too recently. Who's even like the Bruins?
Bruins are second worst.
Okay.
Do you want to
Actually,
know
what's the number? What's the number on that?
the Bruins minus 327.
Okay. If it wasn't
That's their power play to penalty kill differential.
if
Minus
it wasn't too low,
327.
I was thinking about guessing Vegas. Like maybe they've been in the league
Yeah.
not long, but it's been bad. But no.
No.
You need several years. You need decades of building that down.
Yep, the other team is a Western Conference team who has the worst.
Western Conference, who was an absolute menace for a while. Maybe the Kings? They didn't really play
Kings.
clutch and grab. The Ducks?
The Ducks.
It is the Ducks.
The Anaheim Ducks over the past 20 years have the worst differential from power play to penalty kill. They weren't bottom of the league in last week, overall this season, which the league was kind of shocked about. They were an even 67-67, and at one point they were actually a +7. I'm going to pretend I didn't see that. So the Bruins, right, as we mentioned, over the past 20 years, minus 327.
Yeah.
That's what the Anaheim Ducks were.
327. I got to imagine it's like, oh, well, the Bruins are the second worst. The Ducks are lower.
Yeah. So they have a worse
327.
power play penalty kill differential.
I mean, you're probably bringing it up because it's like a crazy amount, right? I'm going to say minus 400.
So going from minus 327 to minus 400 is the gap.
Yeah.
I'm just confirming that that's what you mean.
I think so.
Okay. So
I think it's going to be something big like that.
You're pretty close. Minus 722.
I do that almost every time you set something up like that. It gets me every time. I'm like, okay, so it would be crazy if the second lowest was 50 higher. So I'm going to go like even higher and say 400. And you're like, are you sure? And I was like, oh, I took all the zip out of his bit because I guessed lower than it, you know? Whenever you like overguess something, it takes away from it. No, it was way more.
A differential of 395.
From the second worst out of all the teams.
To the worst.
Holy shit.
Ducks were fucking menaces for quite a while.
I mean, there's a reason I guessed them pretty early. Once I knew it was the Western Conference, they were only my second guess. Like, they had guys like Corey Perry, and they had a lot of guys that played in that clutch and grab era later into the 2010s, or later into the 2000s rather.
Yeah.
And then of course going through a rebuild and all that, and that's still a lot though.
Still a lot.
That's
I actually forgot I took a second note here. I actually do have the two best teams. Do you want me to just tell you, or do you care to guess? Or
top two teams. I'll take like three guesses. Why not? Are any of them expansion teams like Vegas or Seattle?
No, because this is over the past 20 years, so no.
Okay. I'm gonna guess the Blackhawks were bad at times. Probably not. You know what? I'm gonna say San Jose. They were good for a while.
San Jose is second in terms of best, a plus 411. So they're over 1,000 over Anaheim over the past 20 years in terms of power play to penalty kill differential.
And is that just instances, or is that minutes?
Just instances.
So it's probably closer to 2,000 minutes.
Yeah.
Of penalties. Holy crap. Geez, that's insane.
And then number one is 518. So they have 100 over San Jose in second.
I'm gonna throw the Avs out there.
Not the Avs. Eastern team.
Eastern team.
The good boys.
Is it Tampa?
No.
Okay.
So much of good boys that it actually becomes their downfall in the playoffs.
The New Jersey Devils.
No, close.
Carolina.
Okay. 518.
I guess that makes sense. They were good enough to win a cup early 2000s. went through a bit of a rebuild, but they weren't like a bastard heavy team that takes penalties while they're rebuilding. And then they got good again, and they're skilled,
Yeah.
slightly smaller. So it makes sense. They're not taking a ton, and they're probably drawing a lot of calls.
Yeah, so wanted to throw that one in there. I thought that was fun, and I was pretty shocked to see
That was
how
good.
big of a gap that was between Boston
The
and
Ducks
Anaheim.
being that low is pretty crazy. It's kind of funny hearing
wild.
it now because obviously, at this point they've got, Radko Gudas, Jacob Trouba,
Yeah,
but it obviously, they got those guys fairly recently, especially Trouba, and this is a 20-year stat. But
well, back in the day, they did have prime Corey Perry, who was an absolute menace.
yeah, like heart level Corey Perry.
Second last segment before we move on into our final game. It is everybody's favorite time of the week, our weekly mock trade. And this week I have the luxury of presenting the weekly mock trade. Again, these are not, I guess the easiest way to say is just we're trying to throw out realistic trades we could see. Nothing crazy like Crosby for McKinnon 1-for-1. Like none of that shit. Something realistic, something raw, something real. I was debating on the team I was going to send this player to for a while, and then I figured a team out that I think works. So I'm going to roll with it. Ready for the weekly mock trade? Everybody
ready.
Home ready? We're going to roll into it here. The Buffalo Sabres.
Oh my god.
Trade forward Alex Tuch.
Okay.
To the Winnipeg Jets in exchange for a 2026 first-round pick, forward Brad Lambert, defenseman Vinny Heinola, and a 2028 third-round pick. So a first, a third, Lambert, Heinola, to Buffalo in exchange for Alex Tuch going to Winnipeg.
That's interesting.
And the reason I picked Winnipeg is desperately in need of help in their top six, especially on the wing when it comes to scoring. They're missing Ehlers more than they thought they would. Alex Tuch is a pending UFA. It sounds like he wants to stay with Buffalo, but he's also not fully convinced that things are going to turn around there. So Buffalo could look to ship him out, get a haul back. You get a first-round pick. You get a young forward. You get a defenseman who can maybe turn into something for you. Heinola is 24 years old, but hey, maybe it works out in Buffalo. And then you get a third-round pick that you can do whatever you want with it. You can wipe your ass with it. You could trade it for Nathan McKinnon, whatever you want to do with him. It's up to Buffalo. It's Buffalo's world.
That's really interesting. And it's so weird that Tuch is such a trade chip this year. They're not trading Tage Thompson. They're not trading this guy, that guy. Like they have so many guys where it's like you don't even entertain the idea of them trading them because why would they? And then there's Tuch, who does everything. Like he shows up all over the score sheet, even when he's not scoring, but he scores a lot as well. He's a bit of a veteran presence on a younger team, and he's from Buffalo and wants to be there. Like it makes sense. He's good. His contract's expiring. You want to capitalize on the value and move him, but I feel like they really should just keep the player at a certain point, But
that's the thing is you're not totally convinced. It sounds like the Tuch is going to stay there though because of where the team's at.
Yeah,
directionally. And what would you give Tuch for an extension?
I mean,
if you were Buffalo,
if he wants to be there, I mean, how old is he? Bring up the
28?
Sabres here. 29.
29.
So, 29. Summer birthday. I mean, honestly, he's been pretty damn solid for them for a decent bit at this point. Like, I would not hate 7 years at 8.5, 9.
Would you give him the Adrian Kempe deal?
Adrian Kempe, that's
8 years, 10, like 10 and 10.2 or something like that. 10.3, 10.4, 10.5, somewhere in there. Because it kind of sounds like that's what the comparable is
I think it might have to
going
come
around.
down a little bit, but I don't think it would have to come down a ton.
Would you give him an 8 by 10?
8 by 10?
Just a flat out $80 million contract.
It's pretty close. I would give him 8 by 9. I think
But if
I
it came
would
down
give
to
him,
it, if you were at 8 point,
yeah,
if you were at 9 mil, he was at 10 mil, and it's you either sign me for 10 or
yeah,
you trade me. I'm not taking 9.
yeah. I'm just thinking because I would do 9. I think I would do 9.5. At that point, is it worth losing a player over 500 grand?
Probably
And you know
not,
what?
honestly. That's always been my
Frankly,
thing.
you're paying a tax on guys to get them there. Your team sucks, and you're in Buffalo. So, yeah, I think you do an 8 by 10. Maybe don't give them
Because it
full
kind of
trade
sounds like that's
protection,
what
but
his contract would look like, is it's getting compared to what or what he's gonna get has kind of been like
yeah,
Adrian Kempe's kind of a close comparison. And
yeah,
I don't hate that, to be honest. But in terms of this deal though, what are
yeah,
your thoughts? If
yeah.
Buck's like, I'm not signing, I'm
I'm gonna
just
say,
I'm gone, so you either trade me or I'm walking, and Buffalo's kind of forced into making a deal.
yeah. If they needed to move him, I definitely think Winnipeg is a good
I think it's a
option.
great fit. And they can't get
Um,
Kempe now, so
yeah, like this is Tuck would be one of the best players available easily, and he's a guy that you could re-sign and have going forward in the future. And I mean, Winnipeg, often has trouble getting guys to come in, and if the guy's willing to stay in Buffalo, like, or at least willing to even entertain it, he's willing to go anywhere,
yeah,
frankly.
exactly.
So I definitely like it. A first, Brad Lambert. Is Vinny Hinola really projected to be much, or is he just kind of a guy to make
I don't know.
money and
He's
some stuff work?
24 defenseman. I thought just throw him in. It's not going to work in Winnipeg, so Buffalo can take a flyer on him. And then the
And then a
2028
third.
third round pick.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close. I think if I'm Buffalo, I might want a little bit more, but it also depends
A
on
little bit
how
more.
many people are asking for him. Just because I do think he's really underrated, how good he is. Um,
Absolutely.
and
When I
Brad
was doing
Lambert's
it, I
going to be
just
good, but his
knew.
value is a little bit lowered because it's kind of public knowledge now that he's looking at
Yeah.
other areas.
Because my only thing with Winnipeg was Braden Yeager's not a part of the deal. They're not moving him. Like you're
Do we
hoping
know
that's
that?
your second line center of the future, so you're not moving him. But I mean, Buffalo's
Do we
like, or
know? Do
Winnipeg's
we
got other
know that
pieces.
really? Like,
I think so.
or like, what if what if because they're looking to win now, right? Like,
Yeah.
what if you add in Braden Yeager on that side, maybe take away the third, and then maybe Buffalo's also sending in somebody else, a Jason Zucker type.
Then I think maybe you entertain that, but I think if you can find a way, even if you swap out Brad Lambert for Colby Barlow, I'm not quite sure how high the Jets are on him or how high Buffalo would be on him. I'm not even sure what he's been doing much this year, but I think Winnipeg would try to do everything possible to not lose Braden Yeager.
Yeah.
Pull Colby Barlow here. Let's see if Buffalo would be interested in him.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, that's the kind of guy
No,
that
probably not.
Buffalo would really want. You want those young guys that are looking to break in fairly soon because obviously they're
Yeah.
not doing great, and teams generally in that position want draft picks. But I mean, my God, how long can Buffalo just keep picking up draft picks and drafting guys, and then they leave to somewhere else?
Yeah. Braden Yeager this year with the Manitoba Moose. His first year in the AHL, 17 games played, 2 goals, 6 assists for 8 points. It's not bad for a young player.
Yeah,
Puts him tied for third on the team in scoring.
and he's pretty good defensively. I believe he's
Yeah.
a much more two-way forward than most his age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
At that amount of stuff, I think from the Sabres side, I would be saying no, but I
Saying no?
definitely think that's a really good starting point for something that would end up getting done.
It's
I
got to
really
start with
like
a
them as
first
trade
and
partners.
a prospect of some sort. Like that's kind of got to be the
Yeah.
basis of what Winnipeg's sending, and then kind of figuring out the extra parts of it around that type of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. I agree with that. That's kind of the way I felt about it. I didn't love it fully, but I was like, it's kind of in the ballpark. I mean, most trades are always kind of presented and then they're kind of tweaked a bit. And I think that's kind of where this one is it's something Winnipeg would present, and then Buffalo's like, we gotta work on this just a little bit.
Yeah.
Not a phone call can't fix, though.
Do you think they would do Alex Tuck for Lambert and Jaeger, and that's it? No picks, no other players. Just the two prospects.
Maybe.
Because then they'd still have their first to make another upgrade as well. Like, it'd put them in a real good spot for this year.
Obviously, Winnipeg is looking to, kind of win now, but not only win now, but they still have a window because you've got Scheifele locked in, you've got Hellebuck locked in on great contracts, you got Kyle Connor to extend. And I feel like they're just going to be hesitant to move Jaeger because that's kind of the only solid center prospect they have coming up, and that's probably their weakest area is their center depth. So I think they'd be very hesitant to move him. I think if push came to shove, they would, but I think they would really prefer not to. I think they would try to do everything possible to not have him be a part of any deal.
Do you think Perfetti ever ends up back at center? I know he was a centerman early in his career, and now he's transitioned to
maybe, but I think he's just better suited on the wing.
Yeah.
I think it's just a better spot for him, me personally. But, I mean, it potentially could, yeah.
Hey, it's something to keep an eye on.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we can now move on into our final segment. It's an old one. We haven't done this one in a while, but we are going to be back with Guess Who or Guess the Player, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Pretty simple. I've got a player here. Braden can only ask me yes or no questions. Tries to narrow down the player in as few as possible. Your record is 6. So see if you can beat it. You've had a rough couple goes the last time, but you're always trying to beat your record, which I definitely do like. So yes or no questions only. You can play along at home. Braden, whenever you're ready.
All right. I remember thinking about this last time, and I pretty much always start by trying to figure out the team or at least the division. That just really narrows it down. I'm thinking that I want to try not doing that. It might be way harder without that, but I do want to see if I can do it. Maybe getting there in a more roundabout way. How
sorry, your record's 7, not 6. Your record is 7.
I kind of thought it might be 7. 6 would be beating the previous record. 1 to 10. How difficult is this one?
Like 10 being difficult, right?
Actually, I guess how obvious is it? So like McDavid's 10. How obvious is it? And Xavier Bourgault is a 1 or a 0. Well, a 0 because he hasn't played in the NHL.
6.5.
Okay, so maybe a bit more obvious than the average player.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with, does this player make $5 million per season or more?
Do they make $5 million per season or more? No, they do not.
Okay, so they are less than 5. They are less than 5 mil. That does knock out quite a few characters there.
Second question. What do you got?
Is this player a forward?
No.
Not a forward. 4.9 mil or less.
2 questions down. Has no idea what fucking team he's even looking at yet.
Nope. Not a clue.
I don't hate this approach from you, though. I don't hate this approach. Good work.
Does the team that this player plays for, is one of their main colors, like their first or second color, a shade of blue?
Yes.
All right. That knocks out quite a few teams on different divisions and conferences. Blue is one of the first two. They are not a forward. They are less than 5.
Yep.
Non-forward. Blue, yes.
3 questions in. So realistically, if you want to beat your record, two more questions, then you got to nail it on the
And
guess.
then I gotta guess them. Jeez.
It's doable. It's definitely doable. Not easy, but
I don't really want to. I don't know if there's a waste of a question, but if I want to try and get it in 6, I need. Not only do I need this info, I need it to be right, because otherwise it's not much. Is this player a goalie?
yes, it is a goalie. That's
huge.
That's a huge question from you.
That's
What a swing.
That's big, because now I can look at all the blue teams, and I know it's a goalie making less than 5. Andy said it was what, a 6.5 for obviousness, like a little bit more than average. So
Yeah, I
like
think so.
so Vasilevsky makes too much money. It's not him. Jonas Johansson, I feel like that's not that obvious, right? So I feel like it's probably not him. Might be. It could honestly be really either of the goalies on the Leafs.
A lot of
But
goalies
also they're
could
the
be
Leafs,
still.
so
So I still got one more question. One more to narrow it down in one way or the other. I don't know how you can do that, but it's doable.
I've got a couple of ideas. I'm just looking at some of these goalies that teams have, thinking about where they're from.
Okay.
I'm thinking about asking a nationality-based question.
Oh shit. All right. All
I
righty.
don't know if that's the smart way to go, but
I don't think it would be.
no.
Well, just because like yeah. I guess I don't know the nationality of all the goalies that are the possibilities.
That's
right
the
now,
thing.
though,
I'm
so-
looking, and obviously the majority of players in the NHL are Canadian. I'm looking around, and there's a lot of goalies from all over. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Oh, they're all making too much money, though. They're all making too much money.
I think your best bet is trying to just narrow down the NHL team a bit more, probably.
Did this player's team make the playoffs last year?
Yes,
Okay.
they sure did. Which means, if Ray wants to set the record here, he's got to guess the player correctly right now.
Right now,
Can't ask any more. Can't ask any more questions.
making less than 5 mil as a goalie on a blue primary or secondary color team, and they made the playoffs last
He made the
year.
playoffs last year. Correct. You would be correct on that.
Okay, well, it's not Binnington. He makes 6 million. I'm gonna guess it's not Joel Hofer. He doesn't seem like a 6 obviousness to me. Who else made the playoffs? The Avs made the playoffs. Blackwood makes 5.25, so it can't be him. Scott Wedgwood. I mean, generally you wouldn't have him as a very obvious pick, but he's like we said earlier, he's leading the league in wins by 2 right
Leading
now.
the league in wins.
Even gotten
Playing out of his
a
mind.
1-year extension. Columbus did not make the playoffs. The Oilers, both of their goalies making less, so it could be one of them. I don't think it's Pickard. Stuart Skinner? It might be Stuart Skinner. I could see it being
Could
Stuart
be.
Skinner.
I think those are the only teams from the West.
I'll say, do the Panthers have blue? Is it a blue
I
in there?
didn't count the Panthers as blue, and
I was gonna say-
Bobrovsky makes well over. I don't even know who the fuck their backup is this year.
Is that Tarasov?
Oh,
Or is
you know
Tarasov
it
with
is.
someone else.
Yeah, it is Tarasov. Yeah, no, it is Tarasov. It is Tarasov.
The Rangers missed the playoffs last year, so not them. The Canadians, they made it. Both their goalies make less. Could be a Sam Montembeault, could be a Jacob Dobesh, perhaps, but not maybe Montembeault. I'm not super confident. The Sharks didn't make it. The Kraken didn't make it. We already talked about the Blues. Neither Tampa's. Could be Toronto's goalies. I've actually got it narrowed down to maybe I've got it narrowed down to maybe 4 or 5 guys, honestly. So like it's better odds than I thought I would have at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. The goalie question was huge to narrow that down.
Yeah. I realized I was either just straight up not gonna get it, or unless I hit on that goalie question. That was the only way at that point. I had very little info. I think it is either Wedgwood, Stuart Skinner, or Anthony Stolarz. I am going to go. I don't know.
Before you throw it out there,
okay,
it is one of those 3. I will say that.
Oh,
it is one of those 3. Those are the 3 you're between. It is one of those 3.
He hit me with it. I think you saying that changed my answer. I think I changed my answer, and I'm probably going to regret it. I was out of all those guys, I was like, I'm not 100% sure who it is. So I figured I'm going to go with the funniest answer that the internet could give you as a random player, which feels like Stuart Skinner. But thinking of those 3 guys, which would you most likely say is a 6.5? And I feel like that's got to be Wedgwood. He's not a guy you talk about much, but he's doing really good right now, and we talked about him this episode. I'm seeing your reaction, and I feel like it's not him, but I don't want to base it off.
I'm just hearing out your thought process. No, I'm just hearing out your thought process.
I'm gonna lock in Wedgwood. I don't love it, but I got a 33% chance at worst.
He's locking in Scott Wedgwood
at best
for the record at 6. And he does not get the record at 6.
It was Stuart Skinner, wasn't it? It was Stuart Skinner, you son of a bitch.
It was Stuart Skinner. It was. Because I was thinking of the 6.5, I was like, if you're picked, like if you just knew it was a player on Edmonton, you're probably leaning towards like a McDavid, a Draisaitl, Hyman Nugent. And on defense, you got, Ekholm, Nurse, Bouchard, Wallman. I was like Stuart Skinner, we talk about him a lot, but like probably not one of the first guys in Edmonton. It's like you almost had to know it was a goalie if you were gonna not a forward, basically, if you're gonna think Stuart Skinner. But it was Stuart Skinner.
I was so close.
You're right in there. That's twice now though. You've been right in there on setting the record. Because last time you had it down.
I either changed my answer or I like had it down between a few and picked wrong, or maybe I picked the backup when it was the starter or something like that.
Because I think last time it was Owen Power. And
right,
you had
and
Buffalo, and you knew you had picked Bowen Byram.
Yeah,
so that's twice now. You've had it down to you've been debating on that last play, and you've mentioned them, but
getting closer.
With the wrong guy. Getting
well,
closer.
But it's interesting that I didn't I didn't ask for the conference and the division and all that. Like I didn't narrow down the team and then do it. And I
Yeah.
still, I almost got it. So
It's also the first time ever you've asked if it's a goalie. You've never asked before if it's a goalie.
really
I
interesting.
think it's also
guess
the first time ever that we've done. It's the first time ever we've done a goalie. So, oh no, second time because we did
I was gonna
Jacob
say
Mark once.
Markstrom. I knew we had done at least one before, but I think in that one, yeah, I still said, is it a forward? No. Okay. Is it a defenseman? No.
But hey, you know what? You're right
Interesting.
in there. I got to give you props for that. If
That
you
was
played
good.
along at home, let us know how you did. But we're at the sad boy hours now. Fuck, I can't believe I just said that. Fuck me. We're at the end of the episode. We're at the end of the episode here. Fuck, man, just brain rot shit's just been killing me. Can't even go on social media anymore. It's just
Yeah, that's fair.
fuck. Anyways, we're at the end of the episode here. I don't know. Comment. I don't know. Harass us. Anything. Braden, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Even though you get an auto suspension for 2 game misconducts in a 3-game span, you should probably also still be suspended for the hit itself, in my opinion.
Yeah, probably. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I agree. I'm sure everybody at home agrees. One final time, let us know your thoughts on the episode. You can do so at the end of our socials. But that is it for this episode. One final time. Hope all of you lovely people enjoyed. And as always, we will see all of you out on the ice later this week.